ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we have another top 5, and this time we have the top 5, which I haven't done for a while, and I think it's time to revisit. We used to do these all the time, and we are still doing them all the time, but you know, there has to be a break when you do this video and your last video. So what we are looking at today is the top 5 most OP tanks in Blitz. And bear in mind, you have to remember, this is from my perspective. My opinion, everybody's opinion is different. Now, the first tank I had to add on the list is the Kenny Otsu. The Kenny Otsu is still overpowered. It's not as good as it used to be because Wargaming have kind of changed the tanks around it. And some people will think the other Kenny it's actually a better tank, and again, that is absolutely fine. But considering the DPM of this thing, if you are top tier against lower tier, you'll ace the tank almost every single game. Like here, 800 damage, no problem, 2 kills, 3 kills, and I managed to get the ace. So I had to add the Kenny Otsu at number 5. Moving on to number 4. Now, this one I didn't originally add, but I was playing a different tank thinking I was going to add that tank, and then I was just like, I don't know. Then I thought of this tank. Now, again, this is going to be a hit and miss for some people, but honestly, the more I play this tank, the more I love it, and the more overpowered I think this tank is. I don't think it's the strongest of tanks, but I do think it's definitely up there. Of course, we are talking about the Forest Witch. Now, if this didn't have the reverse shell, I think this would be completely broken. Now, I don't think it is completely broken. I just think it is a little bit overpowered. Yeah, I think the 4 shells are very, very good. It's just the reverse shell that can get people. Now, if you want to shoot that last shell, you do have to remember you've got over 18 seconds to wait for 1 shell to be reloaded. So you want to keep that last shell as long as possible. You do not want to shoot that last shell at all cost. Unless there is nothing else around, then of course you can use that last shell. But honestly, I think the more I play the Forest Witch, the more I absolutely love this tank. I think it is fantastic. Except for that shot there, I think the tank is fantastic, and definitely think it is worthy as my number 4. Moving on to tank number 3. Now, after everything, I still had to add this tank. I was looking, and you know, it has to be there. Of course, we are talking about the Smasher. I think the more people learn the tank, the more people that sees the tank, the less fun it is, because people do learn how to sort of deal with the Smasher. They learn to sort of focus the Smasher, kind of like a Death Star in tier 10. Yes, it packs a punch, but the Death Star is nowhere near as OP as some other tanks. And you know, the Smasher, I still think is great, and it's definitely up there as in my top 3. It is still a fun tank to play. You can bounce some shots if you're lucky, but I think the gun is great, the alpha's great, the HE's great, and the heat as well. Now, if this tank didn't have the heat pen that it has got, then I don't think it would be in the list. But even if you're top in sort of a tier 8 game, no problem, just switch to the heat, because you have over 270 mil. I mean, what, 275 or something like that millimeters of pen. So you have more heat pen than even some tier 8s do. So I think it is a crazy tank. It's always going to be in my top 5. And of course, it is the Smasher, one of my favorite tanks in tier 7 as well. Moving on to tank number 2. Now, this tank and number 1, I was looking at both tanks thinking, right, okay, which one is first and which one is second? Because both could easily be number 1. But right now, I think both of these tanks could easily be number one. But considering this is a premium and it is my favorite tank, I didn't really want to add this at number one. I still think it is very, very OP, especially in the right hands, in the right situation, in the right positions. I think this tank is insane. And it's why it is my number two / number one, because again, I could easily put this as my number one. Now, there is a few things I think that Wargaming could change about the tank and still be strong. One of them being, I think, the speed. I think Wargaming could reduce the speed of this, and I still think it would be very, very good. I think they could even reduce the armor on this thing and still be very, very good. The DPM, with the DPM that it's got, with the speed that it's got, with the armor that it's got, honestly, this tank is just insane. It's so much fun. I mean, very, very crazy DPM numbers. This tank has got almost 4,000, like 3,800, something like that. And with the speed, it doesn't look like a quick tank, but honestly, it is. It's a very quick tank. And yeah, that's why it's my favorite tank in the game. Not just because it is overpowered, but because it's fun, because it's overpowered. So yeah, it is my favorite tank in the game because it is overpowered. I'm not gonna lie, it is. So all while if it never gets nerfed, it will be my favorite tank in the game for a very long time. And with the DPM that it's got, you can quickly pump up that DPM. I mean, over 400 alpha every 6 seconds is crazy. When you're using adrenaline, that is 6.2 seconds, I think is insane. It's a very, very fun tank to play. Unfortunately, not everybody will be able to get their hands on it, only if you are lucky enough to get it. But yeah, it's my favorite tank in the game and definitely worthy as my number two. Moving on to what I think is the most OP tank in the game right now. And you know what? I've gone with the E50M. Now, again, people won't agree with me. A lot of people won't agree with me. There's maybe some agree with me, but I think most will actually disagree. But the fact that the amount of love this tank has got, the amount of changes Wargaming has made the tank. I know they've nerfed it little bits, but I think with what it's got, the DPM, the accuracy, the aim time, the armor, the speed, everything. It's a medium tank, but it's got armor of a heavy, and it's got DPM of a medium tank. It's heavy as hell, so it's always been known as that, the rammer. So you can ram people left, right, and center. Do minimal damage to yourself, but do maximum damage to the enemy team. And the fact that you always try to chase that ram. It's one of them tanks that no matter what tank it is, if you can go for the ram, you're going for the ram. Just like I'm doing here with this Progetto. Do you know what? Let's go for the ram. So a shot and a ram, over 800 damage. Get close to him, you get the bounce, and he is gone. I rammed him for like 400 damage, and I did not lose a single hit point. 3,500 plus DPM as well. The speed, I mean, just look, you can bounce almost anything if you put this tank in the right position. 1,100 block damage. We're up to 2k damage, and look how quickly, I mean, a minute and a half. This has been a minute and a half, and there is just 3 tanks left. Here's the IS-8, no problem. I was about to go in for the ram until I get tracked, but I still get a bit more bounces. So 1,500 block damage, and I've done that very, very easily. Can we have this game done in under 2 minutes? Not quite, but we are going to get very, very close. Can we do it? 3, 2, 1... Almost. We've just done it. Literally 2 minutes. No problem whatsoever. 1,500 block damage. Over 3,000 damage done as well. I just think with the love this tank has got over the last few months, honestly, I do think it is very OP. And considering it is a tech tree tank that anybody can get their hands on as well. At least it is a tech tree tank. So anyone that wants to play the E50M, no problem. Just go grind it and you can play it as well. But you also have to bear in mind, it can also be nerfed as quick as it's been buffed. Let me know what you think are the top 5 OP tanks in Blitz right now. But for now, hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.